Stronger. What he failed to stress is that it almost kills you. Disappointment stings, and for driven, successful people like yourselves, it is disorienting. What Nietzsche should have said is, whatever doesn't kill you makes you watch a lot of Cartoon Network and drink mid-price Chardonnay at 11 in the morning. Now, by definition, commencement speakers at an Ivy League college are considered successful. But a little over a year ago, I experienced a profound and very public disappointment. I did not get what I wanted, and I left a system that had nurtured and helped define me for the better part of 17 years. I went from being in the center of the grid to not only off the grid, but underneath the coffee table that the grid sits on, lost in the shag carpeting that is underneath the coffee table supporting the grid. It was the making of a career disaster and a terrible analogy. But then something spectacular happened. Fog-bound, with no compass and adrift, I started trying things. I grew a strange cinnamon beard. I dove into the world of social media. I started tweeting my comedy. I threw together a national tour. I played the guitar. I did stand-up, wore a skin-tight blue leather suit, recorded an album, made a documentary, and frightened my friends and family. Ultimately, I abandoned all preconceived perceptions of my career path and stature and took a job on basic cable, with a network most famous for showing reruns, along with sitcoms created by a tall black man who dresses like an old black woman. I did a lot of silly, unconventional, spontaneous, and seemingly irrational things. And guess what? With the exception of the blue leather suit, it was the most satisfying and fascinating year of my professional life. To this day, I still don't understand exactly what happened, but I have never had more fun, been more challenged, and this is important, had more conviction about what I was doing. How could this be true? Well, it's simple. There are few things more liberating in this life than having your worst fear realized. I went to college with many people who prided themselves on knowing exactly who they were and exactly where they were going. At Harvard, 5 different guys in my class told me they would one day be president of the United States. 4 of them were later killed in motel shootouts. The other ones briefly hosted Blue's Clues before dying senselessly in yet another motel shootout. Your path at 22 will not necessarily be your path at 32 or 42. One's dream is constantly evolving, rising and falling, changing course. This happens in every job, but because I have worked in comedy for 25 years, I can probably speak best about my own profession. Way back in the 1940s, there was a very, very funny man named Jack Benny. He was a giant star, easily one of the greatest comedians of his generation. And a much younger man named Johnny Carson wanted very much to be Jack Benny. In some ways he was, but in many ways he wasn't. He emulated Jack Benny, but his own quirks and mannerisms, along with the changing medium, pulled him in a different direction. And yet, his failure to completely become his hero made him the funniest person of his generation. David Letterman wanted to be Johnny Carson, and was not. And as a result, my generation of comedians wanted to be David Letterman. And none of us are. My peers and I have all missed that mark in 1,000 different ways. But the point is this: it is our failure to become our perceived ideal that ultimately defines us and makes us unique. It's not easy, but if you accept your misfortune and handle it right, your perceived failure can become a catalyst for profound reinvention. So, at the age of 47, after 25 years of obsessively pursuing my dream, that dream changed. For decades in show business, the ultimate goal of every comedian was to host The Tonight Show. It was the holy grail. And like many people, I thought that achieving that goal would define me as successful. But that is not true. No specific job or career goal defines me, and it should not define you. In 2000, I told graduates to not be afraid to fail, and I still believe that. But today I tell you that whether you fear it or not, disappointment will come. The beauty is that through disappointment, you can gain clarity, and with clarity comes conviction and true originality. Many of you here today are getting your diploma at this Ivy League school because you have committed yourself to a dream and worked hard to achieve it. And there is no greater cliche in a commencement address than follow your dream. Well, I'm here to tell you that whatever you think your dream is now, it will probably change, and that's okay. 4 years ago, many of you had a specific vision of what your college experience was going to be and who you were going to become. And I bet today most of you would admit that your time here was very different from what you imagined. Your roommates changed, your major changed. For some of you, your sexual orientation changed. I bet some of you have changed your sexual orientation since I began this speech. I know I have. But through the good, and especially the bad, the person you are now is someone you could never have conjured in the fall of 2007. I've told you many things today, most of it foolish, but some of it true. I'd like to end my address by breaking a taboo and quoting myself from 17 months ago. At the end of my final program with NBC, just before signing off, I said, work hard, be kind, and amazing things will happen. Today, receiving this honor and speaking to the Dartmouth class of 2011 from behind a tree trunk, I have never believed that more. Thank you very much and congratulations. Humor is very self-deprecating, so I actually think that works as a weird kind of. We've got a lot of reviews out there in Cuba from, the New York Times and Huffington Post and all these respected people said, "Oh, this is a kind of new performance with this guy." Because I'm very humble. I go into a situation. In my comedy, I'm usually the one who's doing that, and that's what I'm comfortable with. I really like that. That's just the way I am. There's a bragging, we were talking about backstage, there's a bragging culture. The way we use around other kids who are on the west side of Los Angeles who you see rap videos and they start to talk about, who have the mannerisms. He's like, yeah, I'm all that. And I'm like, you're all what? I don't actually say that to him, but I communicate to him that, you're not from Compton, and you're not a badass, and you've got a lot to learn. And that bragging culture, I think, is something that I'm almost completely opposed to in every way, which is be humble, find the humor in yourself, and I like to be funny with people, not. I will make jokes about people if I can get away with it. They're not around. There's no consequence. But for the most part, I like to go into a situation, whether I'm in Armenia or I'm in South Korea or I'm in Cuba or I'm in Finland. I like to make myself let them laugh at the American, which is what Mark Twain was doing in the 1890s. He's getting a lot of laughs at a lot of people. You're laughing at the American who's out of his element. And I think in the world, the culture, we come across as very cocky. We come across as very dominant and self-assured. And when you can be a representative from a country and actually the poorest of them gets to laugh at you because you're ridiculous, you're 6'4", your hair looks like a pastry, you have no color in your skin, you have no lips, you don't seem to have any testosterone, your legs are way too long, torso way too short, this is sad. But when all that comes out of you and makes me laugh at you, it's sort of actually a beautiful thing.
I will see Sunny Lee. The press in South Korea has a hold of it now, so they want to turn it into a big thing. And so I don't know what's going to happen in North Korea. And I really don't know what's going to happen when I then visit North Korea. I'm told there's been some kind of trouble up there, but I like to go to a place first and then find out what's going on.
So I think we should open up and let you talk through.
Anyone who has a question,
So we've got
yell at me.
microphones. There's one
Microphones
there.
are there.
There's one there.
Guy,
So
very
please
confident.
come ask some questions.
Okay, didn't really dress up. That's all right.
Dress up?
Very casual. Just from the gym, I guess. That's all right.
You want me to mess up? Mess up? Okay, first things first. I'm from Cairo, Egypt, by the way.
You're from Cairo. You've got problems with your urban plan.
Not exactly my question. I don't know what you were studying there.
I've waited my whole life
It's something we're very proud of.
to talk to someone in Cairo. The grid is all wrong. We'll talk about it.
It's something we're very proud
We're
of.
canceling
I know.
Korea.
It's something we're very proud of. I was wondering what you were studying there. I don't think you have something. Second question. I have a friend in South Korea, a big fan of yours. His name is Sung Yoon Jin. Send her an invitation. I don't know if you actually want to do that. I have her email. Anyways, more important question. At the end
You
of
realize you're saying this is the third question and the first two
I
haven't
know,
been
I know.
questions.
I have a problem with.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, thank you, President Powers, Provost Fenves, deans, members of the faculty, family and friends, and most importantly, the class of 2014. It is indeed an honor for me to be here tonight. It's been almost 37 years to the day that I graduated from UT. I remember a lot of things about that day. I remember I had a throbbing headache from a party the night before. I remember I had a serious girlfriend who I later married. That's important to remember, by the way. And I remember I was getting commissioned in the Navy that day. But of all the things I remember, I don't have a clue who the commencement speaker was, and I certainly don't remember anything they said. So acknowledging that fact, if I can't make this commencement speech memorable, I will at least try to make it short. So the university's slogan is, what starts here changes the world. Well, I've got to admit, I kind of like it. What starts here changes the world. Tonight there are almost 8,000 students, or there are more than 8,000 students graduated from UT. So that great paragon of analytical rigor, Ask.com, says that the average American will meet 10,000 people in their lifetime. 10,000 people, that's a lot of folks. But if every one of you changed the lives of just 10 people, and each one of those people changed the lives of another 10 people, and another 10, then in 5 generations, 125 years, the class of 2014 will have changed the lives of 800 million people. 800 million people. Think about it. Over twice the population of the United States. Go one more generation, and you can change the entire population of the world, 8 billion people. If you think it's hard to change the lives of 10 people, change their lives forever, you're wrong. I saw it happen every day in Iraq and Afghanistan. A young Army officer makes a decision to go left instead of right down a road in Baghdad, and the 10 soldiers with him are saved from a close-in ambush. In Kandahar province, Afghanistan, a non-commissioned officer from the female engagement team senses that something isn't right and directs the infantry platoon away from a 500-pound IED, saving the lives of a dozen soldiers. But if you think about it, not only were those soldiers saved by the decisions of one person, but their children were saved, and their children's children. Generations were saved by one decision, one person. But changing the world can happen anywhere, and anyone can do it. So what starts here can indeed change the world. But the question is, what will the world look like after you change it? Well, I'm confident that it will look much, much better. But if you'll humor this old sailor for just a moment, I have a few suggestions that may help you on your way to a better world. And while these lessons were learned during my time in the military, I can assure you that it matters not whether you ever served a day in uniform. It matters not your gender, your ethnic or religious background, your orientation, or your social status. Our struggles in this world are similar, and the lessons to overcome those struggles and to move forward, changing ourselves and changing the world around us, will apply equally to all. I've been a Navy SEAL for 36 years, but it all began when I left UT for basic SEAL training in Coronado, California. Basic SEAL training is 6 months of long, torturous runs in the soft sand, midnight swims in the cold water off San Diego, obstacle courses, unending calisthenics, days without sleep, and always being cold, wet, and miserable. It is 6 months of being constantly harassed by professionally trained warriors who seek to find the weak of mind and body and eliminate them from ever becoming a Navy SEAL. But the training also seeks to find those students who can lead in an environment of constant stress, chaos, failure, and hardships. To me, basic SEAL training was a lifetime of challenges crammed into 6 months. So here are the 10 lessons I learned from basic SEAL training that hopefully will be of value to you as you move forward in life. Every morning in SEAL training, my instructors, who at the time were all Vietnam veterans, would show up in my barracks room, and the first thing they'd do was inspect my bed. If you did it right, the corners would be square, the covers would be pulled tight, the pillow centered just under the headboard, and the extra blanket folded neatly at the foot of the rack. It was a simple task, mundane at best, but every morning we were required to make our bed to perfection. It seemed a little ridiculous at the time, particularly in light of the fact that we were aspiring to be real warriors, tough, battle-hardened SEALs. But the wisdom of this simple act has been proven to me many times over. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. So if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. During SEAL training, the students are all broken down into boat crews. Each crew is 7 students, 3 on each side of a small rubber boat, and 1 coxswain to help guide the dinghy. Every day, your boat crew forms up on the beach and is instructed to get through the surf zone and paddle several miles down the coast. In the winter, the surf off San Diego can get to be 8 to 10 feet high, and it is exceedingly difficult to paddle through the plunging surf unless everyone digs in. Every paddle must be synchronized to the stroke count of the coxswain. Everyone must exert equal effort, or the boat will turn against the wave and be unceremoniously dumped back on the beach. For the boat to make it to its destination, everyone must paddle. You can't change the world alone. You will need some help. And to truly get from your starting point to your destination takes friends, colleagues, the goodwill of strangers, and a strong coxswain to guide you. If you want to change the world, find someone to help you paddle. Over a few weeks of difficult training, my SEAL class, which started with 150 men, was down to just 42. There were now 6 boat crews of 7 men each. I was in the boat with the tall guys, but the best boat crew we had was made up of the little guys, the Munchkin crew, we called them. No one was over 5'5". The Munchkin boat crew had 1 American Indian, 1 African American, 1 Polish American, 1 Greek American, 1 Italian American, and 2 tough kids from the Midwest. They out-paddled, outran, and outswam all the other boat crews. The big men in the other boat crews would always make good-natured fun of the tiny little flippers the Munchkins put on their tiny little feet prior to every swim. But somehow these little guys from every corner of the nation and the world always had the last laugh, swimming faster than everyone and reaching the shore long before the rest of us. SEAL training was a great equalizer. Nothing mattered but your will to succeed, not your color, not your ethnic background, not your education, not your social status. If you want to change the world, measure a person by the size of their heart, not by the size of their flippers. Several times a week, the instructors would line up the class and do a uniform inspection. It was exceptionally thorough. Your hat had to be perfectly starched, your uniform immaculately pressed, your belt buckle shiny and void of any smudges. But it seemed that no matter how much effort you put into starching your hat, or pressing your uniform, or polishing your belt buckle, it just wasn't good enough. The instructors would find something wrong. For failing the uniform inspection, the student had to run, fully clothed, into the surf zone. Then wet from head to toe, roll around on the beach until every part of your body was covered with sand. The effect was known as sugar cookie. You stayed in the uniform the rest of the day, cold, wet, and sandy. There were many a student who just couldn't accept the fact that all their efforts were in vain, that no matter how hard they tried to get the uniform right, it went unappreciated. Those students didn't make it through training. Those students didn't understand the purpose of the drill. You were never going to succeed. You were never going to have a perfect uniform. The instructors weren't going to allow it. Sometimes, no matter how well you prepare or how well you perform, you still end up as a sugar cookie. It's just the way life is sometimes. If you want to change the world, get over being a sugar cookie and keep moving forward. Every day during training, you were challenged with multiple physical events: long runs, long swims, obstacle courses, hours of calisthenics, something designed to test your mettle. Every event had standards, times you had to meet. If you failed to meet those times, those standards, your name was posted on a list, and at the end of the day, those on the list were invited to a circus. A circus was 2 hours of additional calisthenics, designed to wear you down, to break your spirit, to force you to quit. No one wanted a circus. A circus meant that for that day, you didn't measure up. A circus meant more fatigue, and more fatigue meant that the following day would be more difficult, and more circuses were likely. But at some time during SEAL training, everyone made the circus list. But an interesting thing happened to those who were constantly on the list. Over time, those students who did 2 hours of extra calisthenics got stronger and stronger. The pain of the circuses built inner strength and physical resiliency. Life is filled with circuses. You will fail. You will likely fail often. It will be painful. It will be discouraging. At times, it will test you to your very core. But if you want to change the world, don't be afraid of the circuses. At least twice a week, the trainees were required to run the obstacle course. The obstacle course contained 25 obstacles, including a 10-foot wall, a 30-foot cargo net, a barbed wire crawl, to name a few. But the most challenging obstacle was the slide for life. It had a 3-level, 30-foot tower at one end and a 1-level tower at the other. In between was a 200-foot-long rope. You had to climb the 3-tiered tower, and once at the top, you grabbed the rope, swung underneath the rope, and pulled yourself hand over hand until you got to the other end. The record for the obstacle course had stood for years when my class began in 1977. The record seemed unbeatable until one day a student decided to go down the slide for life head first. Instead of swinging his body underneath the rope and inching his way down, he bravely mounted the top of the rope and thrust himself forward. It was a dangerous move, seemingly foolish and fraught with risk. Failure could mean injury and being dropped from the course. Without hesitation, the student slid down the rope perilously fast. Instead of several minutes, it only took him half that time. And by the end of the course, he had broken the record. If you want to change the world, sometimes you have to slide down the obstacles head first. During the land warfare phase of training, the students are flown out to San Clemente Island, which lies off the coast of San Diego. The waters off San Clemente are a breeding ground for the great white sharks. To pass SEAL training, there are a series of long swims that must be completed. One is the night swim. Before the swim, the instructors joyfully brief the students on all the species of sharks that inhabit the waters off San Clemente. They assure you, however, that no student has ever been eaten by a shark, at least not that they can remember. But you are also taught that if a shark begins to circle your position, stand your ground. Do not swim away. Do not act afraid. And if the shark, hungry for a midnight snack, darts towards you, then summons up all your strength and punch him in the snout, and he will turn and swim away. There are a lot of sharks in the world. If you hope to complete the swim, you will have to deal with them. So if you want to change the world, don't back down from the sharks. As Navy SEALs, one of our jobs is to conduct underwater attacks against enemy shipping. We practice this technique extensively during training. The ship attack mission is where a pair of SEAL divers is dropped off outside an enemy harbor and then swims well over 2 miles underwater, using nothing but a depth gauge and a compass to get to the target. During the entire swim, even well below the surface, there is some light that comes through. It is comforting to know that there is open water above you. But as you approach the ship, which is tied to a pier, the light begins to fade. The steel structure of the ship blocks the moonlight. It blocks the surrounding street lamps. It blocks all ambient light. To be successful in your mission, you have to swim under the ship and find the keel, the center line, and the deepest part of the ship. This is your objective. But the keel is also the darkest part of the ship, where you cannot see your hand in front of your face, where the noise from the ship's machinery is deafening, and where it gets to be easily disoriented, and you can fail. Every SEAL knows that under the keel, at that darkest moment of the mission, is a time when you need to be calm, when you must be calm, when you must be composed, when all your tactical skills, your physical power, and your inner strength must be brought to bear. If you want to change the world, you must be your very best in the darkest moments. The 9th week of training is referred to as Hell Week. It is 6 days of no sleep, constant physical and mental harassment, and one special day at the Mud Flats. The Mud Flats are an area between San Diego and Tijuana where the water runs off and creates the Tijuana Sloughs, a swampy patch of terrain where the mud will engulf you. It is on Wednesday of Hell Week that you paddle down in the Mud Flats and spend the next 15 hours trying to survive this freezing cold, the howling wind, and the incessant pressure to quit from the instructors. As the sun began to set that Wednesday evening, my training class, having committed some egregious infraction of the rules, was ordered into the mud. The mud consumed each man till there was nothing visible but our heads. The instructors told us we could leave the mud if only 5 men would quit. Only 5 men, just 5 men, and we could get out of the oppressive cold. Looking around the mud flat, it was apparent that some students were about to give up. It was still over 8 hours till the sun came up. 8 more hours of bone-chilling cold. The chattering teeth and the shivering moans of the trainees were so loud, it was hard to hear anything. And then one voice began to echo through the night. One voice raised in song. The song was terribly out of tune, but sung with great enthusiasm. One voice became 2, and 2 became 3, and before long, everyone in the class was singing. The instructors threatened us with more time in the mud if we kept up the singing, but the singing persisted. And somehow the mud seemed a little warmer, and the wind a little tamer, and the dawn not so far away. If I have learned anything in my time traveling the world, it is the power of hope. The power of one person, a Washington, a Lincoln, King, Mandela, and even a young girl from Pakistan, Malala. One person can change the world by giving people hope. So if you want to change the world, start singing when you're up to your neck in mud. Finally, in SEAL training, there's a bell. A brass bell that hangs in the center of the compound for all the students to see. All you have to do to quit, is ring the bell. Ring the bell, and you no longer have to wake up at 5 o'clock. Ring the bell, and you no longer have to be in the freezing cold swims. Ring the bell, and you no longer have to do the runs, the obstacle course, the PT, and you no longer have to endure the hardships of training. All you have to do is ring the bell to get out. If you want to change the world, don't ever, ever ring the bell. To the class of 2014, you are moments away from graduating. Moments away from beginning your journey through life. Moments away from starting to change the world for the better. It will not be easy, but you are the class of 2014, the class that can affect the lives of 800 million people in the next century. Start each day with a task completed. Find someone to help you through life. Respect everyone. Know that life is not fair and that you will fail often. But if you take some risks, step up when the times are the toughest, face down the bullies, lift up the downtrodden, and never, ever give up. If you do these things, the next generation and the generations that follow will live in a world far better than the one we have today. And what started here will indeed have changed the world for the better. Thank you very much. Hook 'em horns.
Oh my God! Pile! Mess up the whole vibe, man. I went to Italy. Italy was cool, man. You know what's wicked when I went to Italy? This freaked me out. Brown people, you gotta go to Italy. It'll mess them up. I went to Italy. The Italians thought I was Italian. And I didn't have the heart to tell them I wasn't Italian, right? Because it seemed kind of cool to be Italian for a little while. Until they started speaking Italian to me. Then I just looked like I was retarded, you know? Because they're walking out there in the street. Ah, signore, sono dove cosa dici? Posso donde? Perché ti marito mariti. Che marito che ti dote? Sì. See, man. Then when I told the guy I was Indian, he would freak out. Indiano? No, Indiano. No, Indiano. Mario, che cazzo fa Indiano? No, no, Indiano. Like I told him I was a friggin' ghost or something. No. Because they can't picture Indian people that are just normal over there, you know? In their heads, Indian people are... And we show up and shatter their miserable dreams for them. You guys get a chance to go to Italy, it's cool, man. You don't even need to learn how to speak Italian, that's the good part. All you need to do is learn how to read their hand signals. Because every word in Italian has a hand signal that goes with it. Everything. It's like they all used to be deaf at some point, you know? Everything. Hey, 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 down here, hey. Did you know that? I swear to God, this in Italian, you know what this means? This is what the fuck in Italian. Right here, this little hand motion is what the fuck. They'll look at you and they'll go, hey! This is what the fuck in Italian. You know what this means in Indian? You want to eat? You want to eat. Imagine an Italian guy walking into an Indian restaurant. Hey, what the fuck? Hey. Buffet is over there. And you watch your language. Or somebody gonna get hurt real bad. My Chinese friends, you all right over there? How you doing, bro? Didn't you try and sell me a purse earlier? Just kidding. What's your name? No, the Chinese guy. You're the black guy. But you know, whatever makes you happy, you know what I mean? My Chinese friend, what's your name, sir? Anthony, that's what I thought when I looked at you. Looked right at me, that's an Anthony right there. That's you have a Chinese name as well, Anthony? What's your Chinese name? Say it, you know, proper, however Chinese people say your name. I don't, not, and don't go, Anthony! I don't want that, you know what I mean? I want want the proper Chinese version. What's the Chinese name? Tap Sun Bong? Doesn't that mean you're gonna get high? Hey, you want a Tap Sun Bong? That's a wicked name. Tap Sun Bong. I don't know if I'm saying it wrong or not, but it's the way it is now. You know? Sounds cooler than Anthony. Unless you're Anthony by day and Tap Sun Bong by night. You could be like a Chinese superhero, man. Chinaman. He got 2 chopsticks on his shirt. Shooting noodles out of his wrist. Catching bad guys with stale fortune cookies. Confucius say, you go to jail, bad boy. I did shows in Hong Kong. I went to Hong Kong last year, man. That was wicked. Hong Kong's a wicked place. I think Chinese people are like the smartest people in the world, man. They're tricking us all. They are, man. They are not dumb people. They pretend to not know English. I went to Hong Kong. They all speak English over there. Everyone. They speak better English than we speak. I'm in this guy's store. I go, you know what? Me and my friend will come back. He goes, your friend and I. Like, well, if you and him want to come back too, that's fine, you know? And not dumb people, man. Don't be fooled. I'm playing you. You know, it really upset me, though, when I went to Hong Kong. Everywhere you go in the world and perform, wherever I go, they have a local comedian open the show for us. I go to South Africa, they get South African. I go to England, they get English comedian. Went to Hong Kong, I kept picturing in my head a Chinese comedian. I get there, no Chinese comedian. I was so upset, because I kept picturing a Chinese comedian. Little Chinese brother running out, opening up the shore. Hey! Hey! Excuse me. Your mother is so fat. That when she jumped for joy, she got stuck. Okay, thank you. Didn't happen. Very upsetting. Oh, man. I'm gonna let out a secret about Indian people for all the people here or all the people watching, wherever you are. If you're not Indian, this is a message to you on behalf of all Indian people. Hope my brown people don't get upset when I'm letting out our secret. But just so you guys know, Indian people are fully aware of what their accent sounds like. We don't actually need you we know exactly what it sounds like. We know it's not the coolest accent in the world, you know? You're never gonna see 2 Indian guys in a club standing around going, hey man, aren't we cool? Don't we sound really hip? We are going to meet all the bitches tonight. I'm pimping. It's not gonna happen, you know? We know what it sounds like, you know? And don't think for 1 minute that we don't know that you're mocking us when we're not around. It's an accent. We're not deaf. Don't think when we walk into Home Depot and go, hello, I'm looking for paint. Yeah, it's right down that aisle over there. Hey, Jim, did you hear that guy? He's looking for paint. 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 Hey, let's go have a cigarette and talk like this for half an hour. We know you're doing it, you bastards. But Indian people know what their accent's good for and what it's not good for. We know its limitations. You know what I mean? We know it's not good for getting laid. It's not gonna help you. Hello, baby. Nothing's gonna happen for you. But you know what the Indian accent is good for? Cutting tension. You got a tense situation, pop in the Indian accent. tension's gone. Picture a serious courtroom drama. Your Honor, my client would like to plead guilty. Tension's gone. But white people, let me talk to you for a minute. White Canadian people, especially. Canadian white people. When I say Canadian, I mean you're Canadian, your parents are Canadian, your grandparents are Canadian, you're really Canadian. Canadian white people, you have an accent. And they're completely oblivious to it. You do? I don't know if you're aware of it, sir. You may not have it, you look like a rich Canadian white guy. I don't know, you know what I mean? You're a minority. But Canadian people have an accent. And it's funny when you watch white Canadian people talk, especially white Canadian guys, they have this funny-ass way of talking. They talk, the way they speak, they make everything sound like it's the most matter-of-fact thing you've ever heard in your life. And when they talk to you, it looks like they can't control their head. It looks like they're part bobblehead when they say stuff to you. Because they'll come up to you and they'll go, Jesus Christ. Did you get a load of the jugs on that one? Oh yeah. Hey, dude, it's funny to watch. And white people sitting there going, no, we don't have an accent. What are you talking about? I can prove to you, white folks, that you have an accent. It's a pretty bold statement for a brown man. But I can prove to you. White people, when you swear, you sound like donkeys. You do, because you'll say stuff like, God. Shit. You talk funny, man. It's okay. This is a nice room tonight, you know. There's all kinds of different people here. I love that. When I look out in the audience, I see black, white, Asian, just everybody having a good time, hanging out. Brown. We fall under Asian as well. South. It's nice, you know, different mix of audience like this. People at home, different kinds of people enjoying this in their living room or wherever. This type of thing's not going to be able to happen in about 300 years from now. Do you realize that? Because you realize that? If we make it to 300 years from now. You realize there's not going to be any more white people? There's not going to be any more black people? Everybody's going to be beige. And I don't care, I'm already beige, you know what I mean? It's not going to affect me at all. But it's true, the whole world's mixing. There's nothing you can do about it. Eventually, we're all going to become some sort of hybrid mix of Chinese and Indian. It's inevitable. They're the two largest populations in the world. So you can run from us now. But sooner or later, we're going to hump you. And I'm thinking if we're already going to mix anyway, we should start mixing now, you know? You know, ladies, take some chances, sleep around a bit, you know? If you see that Indian comedian that you really want to have sex with, I say go for it. But it's true, the whole world's mixing, you know? And eventually, just gonna everybody look the same. But I'm thinking if we're all going to mix anyway, let's start mixing people now that would never normally mix. Just to see what we'll get. You know, hook up a Jamaican with an Italian. They could have little pastafarians, you know? I'm Indian, I could hook up with a Jewish girl, we could have little Hindus. Get a woman from the Philippines, a guy from Holland, little jalapenos. Guy from Cuba, a woman from Iceland, little ice cubes. A French and a Greek, freak. German and a Newfie, little goofies. You know what I mean? It's gonna happen. We might as well help it along. I used to go with a Chinese girl. I was wicked going out with a Chinese girl. Can you imagine if her and I had gotten serious? Can you imagine that wedding? You know how much rice would have been at that wedding? Nobody'd be allowed to throw it at the bride and groom. Our parents would just freak out. What the hell are you doing? You're wasting the food. I told you not to invite white people to the wedding. They throw the bloody food around. Let's go to their weddings and throw mashed potatoes at them. It's gonna happen, man. My dad's been in this country for 40 years now. 40 years. And you know what's scary? Is I think my dad's turning into a redneck. I swear to God, he's starting to say stuff that scares me, you know? I walked into my parents' house a couple of weeks ago. My dad was sitting there on the phone. He had the newspaper open in front of him. He had an ad circled. Somebody was selling a couch, right? So my dad's on the phone. He called the ad. And on the other end of the phone, some Eastern European lady answered, and she couldn't speak any English. And all I hear is, "Hello, I'm calling about your couch." Hello? Hello? I want to know about your couch. Hello? Okay. I've said hello twice. I would like to purchase your couch. And no English? I'm sorry? And no English? Then why the hell did you answer the phone? You don't come to my country if you can't speak the language. Click. My dad looks at me and goes, "Immigrants." I go, "Dad, you're an immigrant." "Hey, you watch what you say to me." I think that's one thing that separates immigrant families from the regular Canadian families, you know? Doesn't matter where your parents are from. They weren't born in this country. They will whoop your ass when you're growing up, won't they? It doesn't matter. Where are your parents from? Ukraine. You know what I'm saying? They'll beat you with a cabbage roll. You know what I'm saying? They'll smack a pierogi upside your head if they have to. They'll beat you, right? Immigrant parents will beat their kids. Canadian parents, they're a little too soft on their kids. And that's fine, you know, whatever makes you happy. But you need to start beating your kids. I'll tell you why. Because growing up, kids now are growing up in a multicultural society. You know, you're going to have white kids growing up with black kids and brown kids and Asian kids, and they're all going to be hanging out in the playground. You know what I mean? And they're going to be talking about the ass whooping they got last night. Do you want that little white kid to feel left out? Beat that child so he's not a social outcast. We'll be sitting around, "Man, my dad beat my ass." "My dad beat my ass too." The white kid will be like, "I got sent to my room." Well, I'll be like, "You've got a room?" You need to beat the kids, man. Indian parents will beat their kids. Chinese parents, I would hate to get beat. Your parents know kung fu and stuff, man. I would hate to mess up in a Chinese house, man. Hey, cut this bong. Come here. It says you got a F in school. They wouldn't even need to beat you. They just go, "Ooh, no, Sonny Tag." Indian parents will beat their... Indian parents aren't afraid to kill their kids if they have to, you know? My dad's theory was, if I get rid of one, I'll just make another one. And I will tell the new one what an idiot the last one was. Jamaican parents will beat their kids for no reason sometimes, won't they? Hey, boy, come here. Yes, Daddy? What's that for? Just in case. White people, please beat your kids. I'll tell you why else, because when I was growing up, right, I grew up around a lot of black people, which was fine, because the black people never picked on me. White kids, not so friendly back then. But every now and then, a white kid would come and hang out with us, and we were like, wow, a white kid! I've heard so much about you! And here's where the problem is. When a white kid would hang out with us, we'd want to be like the white kid. We would want to start to do everything like the white kid. We wanted to copy that white kid so much. And the problem is when we would start taking that white kid's advice on how to deal with our parents. That'll get you friggin' murdered, man. I remember hanging around this one little white boy, Ryan, when I was 10 years old. I went to his house after school one day, right? His parents never beat him, and they never even yelled at him. He could do anything he wanted, and nothing was gonna happen to him. But he was an angry kid. We walked into his house after school one day, his mom goes, Ryan, go clean your room. Fuck you, bitch! His mom goes, what am I gonna do with him? I go, Ryan, you can't talk to your mom like that. Yes, I can. She's a jackass. Don't say that, man. She'll hit you. No, she won't. She's not allowed to. What the hell are you talking about, man? My parents hit me. Yeah, well, next time they try it, you tell them to fuck off. Are you sure? Trust me, it works for me. So I went home for the last time. I walked in the house, my dad goes, Russell, come and do the dishes. Fuck you, Dad. What the hell did you say to me? Do I look like Ryan's mom? Somebody gonna get hurt real bad. That was my dad's threat right before he beat me every single time. Oi, Russell. Somebody gonna get hurt real bad. I hated that threat. You know why? Because he'd always say somebody. He'd never tell you it was you. I mean, you knew it was you. But he'd give you this hope. Oi, Russell. Somebody gonna get hurt real bad. Somebody. I'm not gonna say who. Oh, I think you might know him very well. I'm in the back praying, I hope it's my brother, man, please. I saw that little brat Ryan at school a few days later. I was like, yo, your little plan almost got me killed. He goes, oh, sorry, dude. I forgot to tell you the other part. If he's still gonna hit you, threaten to phone Children's Aid. Why? Because if you phone Children's Aid, they'll come and take your dad away, and he'll get in trouble. You won't even have to call. Just pretend it'll scare the crap out of him. You're 10 years old, you figure out how to scare the crap out of your dad? That's like finding kryptonite. I thought I'd try it. I was about to get my next beating, I stopped my dad. I go, don't do it! I'll phone Children's Aid. You ever had your parents call your bluff? You'll do what? I'll phone Children's Aid. Is that right? Well, let me get you the phone, tough guy. What are you doing? If I phone Children's Aid, you'll get in trouble. I might get into a little bit of trouble. But I know that it's going to take them 23 minutes to get here. In that time, somebody gonna get hurt real bad. Thank you very much. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, Russell Peters.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the biggest stand-up comedian in the world and the pride of Brampton, Ontario, Sydney, Australia. Give it up for Russell Peters! Thank you! All right! Hacking Sydney! Give it up for starting from scratch and DJ Spinbad, ladies and gentlemen. Just so you guys know, that's actually what DJs are supposed to do. See how they were DJing and they weren't looking at you? Because they were fucking DJing. I know a lot of you spend money to go see these so-called DJs that stand there in big arenas like this and their arms are in the air. They better be DJing with their dick right now. That's all I'm saying, because if
your arms are in the air, who the fuck is playing the music? That's like you spending money to come see me, and then I put on a DVD and go. Stand there making hand hearts. Good to be back here. How are you, buddy? I can't tell if you're white or not. It's not that easy anymore, you know? Back in the day, when you see a white person, you knew they were white immediately. When I was a kid, if I saw a white person, I didn't have to ask. If I was like, are you white? They'd be like, what the fuck else would I be? But now you need to confirm. What are you, sir? Are you white? Even you hesitated. You had to go through your own lineage. You're like, apparently I am, yes. Because you're not regular white. You got like hairy immigrant arms. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like a shot of those. You get those? You're missing the arms, Q. It's right there. Oh, look at that thing. Jesus, that's not proper white, buddy. I don't know. That's Italian or Greek or something. I don't know what's going on there. Where are your parents from? UK. Oh, okay. So, yeah, that's pretty well. That, in fact, is the benchmark. That you are one hairy Englishman, I'll tell you that. Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the hair of an Englishman. You know why you gotta ask nowadays? I was in Florida. You guys ever go to Florida in the U.S.? If you go to Florida, everybody in Florida looks like everybody in this room until they open their mouth. Spanish flies right out of their mouth. Like, not like a little bit of Spanish, like you could tell that that's all their thoughts, everything they do is in Spanish. You know how you can tell when you say hello to them? You can see your hello enter their head. You're like, hello, and you see go, hello equals hola. Reply with hello. And you know that their hello started with a J. That's the best part, you know? Hello. It's not just a greeting, it's my favorite dessert. Sucks for me. I like the Spanish language, but if you go to a place where all they do is speak Spanish and they should be speaking English, it gets annoying. Because they see the brown skin, they just assume something's going on. Everywhere I go in Florida, they're like, oye, cubano, oye, listen up there, fucking Fernando. I don't want to dance right now. We're at a gas station. This is really awkward. When I told the guy, I go, oh, I don't speak Spanish. Goes, what kind of fucking Latino don't speak Spanish? When I told the guy I wasn't Latino, he reacted like a guy who bought a hooker and found out it was a guy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, no, I'm not Latino. What the fuck are you? Pointed at my dick when he did it. What the fuck is that? I like Spanish. It just gets annoying when everybody's speaking it to you. Hola, hola, ¿cómo estás? Hola. I got annoyed. I was getting fed up. I walked into a store. I saw an Indian guy with a turban. I got all excited. I was like, thank God, my people. I go, how you doing, man? He goes, hola. I'm like, oh. Can't speak Spanish with Indian head motions. It doesn't work like that. ¿Qué pasó? Been traveling a lot on this tour. That's the fun thing about being on the road, is going to countries I'd never been to. I was in Thailand. I know a lot of you have been to Thailand. It's not far from here. I like how a lot of you don't want to admit you've been to Thailand because you're fucking perverts. That's why. Thailand's great. When I go to countries I've never been to, you know what I like to do? I like to experience what they're famous for. not ladyboys, filthy pirates, all right? I was in Bangkok. You know what's funny about Bangkok? It doesn't matter how old you get. When you hear Bangkok, you'll giggle every time. I'm 42 years old, I'm like, Bangkok. Because you start thinking about the origin of names, right? You start trying to figure out how they came up with that name, like they were having a meeting in Thailand. They're like, we need a name for the city. Okay, quick lunch break, we come back.
What happened? Bangkok.
Kind of makes you wonder how they came up with the name for the island of Phuket. You know what I mean? What do you want to call that island? I don't know. Fuck it. Whatever. Just. I went to when I was in Bangkok. I went for a Thai massage. That's what else they're famous for. Just so you guys know, if you go to Thailand, you want a Thai massage, just say you want a massage, not a Thai massage, because they understand that it's already Thailand. But I didn't know. One of my friends was telling me about the Thai massage. It's actually customary over there for the lady giving you the massage to not shoot dice. I mean, finish you off. And I was like, well, all right. And I just out of curiosity, I was like, well, why do they do that? Not that I'm opposed to it. I just want to know why. And he goes, oh, because, you know, they give you this great massage, and you're relaxed all over your whole body, except for dead center. You're stiff. And then he's like, well, when is a man most relaxed? Right after, right? And then you add a great massage onto that, and you're just fucking jello when you leave. You could tell it was at a massage. Everybody walking through the streets of Bangkok. Is he hammered? No, he had a great massage. So I was like, all right, I'll try it out. So I went for my massage, and just my luck, I'm not making this up, just my luck, when I was there, they had just passed a law saying that these women weren't allowed to, they were no longer allowed to finish you off with their hands. And they weren't going to start blowing everybody. It's not that kind of party, you know what I mean? Because even when they do finish you off with their hands, it's not done like, you know, outside of Thailand. Like, over here, it'll be considered dirty. When, hey, man, you want to go to rub and tug? You know, it's like, it always has that gross undertone to it. Like, you go to a rub and tug, and the lady's talking shit to you. Oh, it's so big, you know? And she's taking her time, and, you know. Not over there. It has nothing to do with sexuality. It's just like, you know, to relax you. So they've got it down to like 2 pumps. Like, ding, ding, get out. You know what I mean? Like, they don't care how big, how small. They're like, just ding, ding, get out. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen when I go for my massage. So I go, what happens? He goes, I don't know. I go, well, you're going to find out. And I go, all right. I go, will they still finish me off? Probably, but I don't know how. I go, all right, great. So I go for my massage. This cute little Thai lady, she gives me this great massage down my back, down my legs, down my feet, up my legs, up my chest, and then she gets to my hog. And I know something's gonna happen, right? But I don't know what, so I just tilt my head back and relax, right? And I feel a wonderful sensation on my wiener. And I'm thinking maybe she's doing the old, you know, like the elbow crease. I don't know, like, I say the old like it's a move or something, but like, I mean, I've never had a girl go, ooh, you like that? No, I don't know, right? I'm just saying. I'm thinking maybe she's doing it with her feet, which I like, you know what I mean? I like women's feet, that works for me, right? So I'm like, I feel this great sensation, so my curious side wants to see what's happening. So I look up, and I swear to God, she's doing this. She's giving me the best wrist job I've ever had in my life. Like, I didn't know you could do that with a wrist. I went back to my hotel room that night because it felt so good. I thought I'd give it a shot, you know? Sitting at the edge of my bed, I'm like, all right. Just a note, fellas, if you're gonna try this tonight, take your watch off. That's all I'm saying. Don't be the reason you have a Bangkok. I was in the Middle East. Where are the Arabs at tonight? Arabs? Oh, it's a lot of Arabs. It's a dangerous amount. What style of Arab are you guys here? Lebanese! What the fuck is Lebanese? That's some sort of hamburger topping that I don't know about?
Yeah, mate, how you going? Let me get a hamburger.
That's my impression of you guys. I don't know what the fuck it makes me laugh.
Hey, how you going, mate? No worries. Yeah, all right, yeah.
Are you a particularly high-strung bunch of people if you have to tell everybody,
No worries. Stop worrying, mate. All right. Are you worried? No worries. All right. Yeah.
I always feel like I should shove carrots in your mouth when you're talking to me.
Hey, how you going, mate? No worries.
I'm not worried.
You shouldn't be. Crikey.
Lebanese. Let me get the ketchup and some Lebanese on that, please. Oh, what's Lebanese? It's lemon and mayonnaise. It's, why don't they call it lemonade? Lebanese sounds better. My Lebanese friends, ever gone back to Beirut? Let me tell you something. I've partied all over the world. And by far, without trying to suck up to you guys, because I'm scared,